It's Monday, the 16th of February 2026. Welcome to the Fast 5 Business News by Fear and Greed, where we give you the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Michael Thompson, and good morning, Sean Aylmer.
Morning, Michael.
Sean, just a very quick reminder that if you are listening to this podcast through Spotify, there's a very good chance you're listening through the Your Daily Drive playlist. That playlist is disappearing in the next few weeks, so please hit follow on the podcast on the Fast 5 so that you still get us every day. On with the show, Sean. We've got 5 stories to race through in 5 minutes. Story number 1, it's been a weekend of mea culpas from the Federal Liberal Party. The new Liberal leadership team of Angus Taylor and Jane Hume are really looking to sweep the cupboard clean of some old policies, work to rebuild the coalition and fend off One Nation. And that's before they even get around to fighting the government. The two leaders were out and about doing the media rounds yesterday. Angus Taylor said under his leadership, the Liberal Party would contain inflation and taxes would be lower. He said standards had been too low on immigration and the numbers too high. He criticised Prime Minister Anthony Albanese for not condemning those who openly called for violence during protests last week. Taylor said it was the party's job to convince Australians that the coalition is a better option than One Nation.
Yes, and Senator Hume conceded that opposing previous tax cuts and work-from-home arrangements was a mistake. It wouldn't be drawn on capital gains tax concessions for property investors. First opinion poll since Taylor and Hume replaced Susan Lee and Ted O'Brien on Friday shows One Nation, the coalition, both with 23% of the primary vote, though voters are willing to give Taylor a chance.
While the Liberals were kind of sorting themselves out, the Albanese government promised a $3.9 billion down payment on a $30 billion plan to build a massive new nuclear submarine construction yard in Adelaide. This thing is big. The decades-long project will support an estimated 4,000 construction jobs on top of about 5,500 ongoing positions building AUKUS-class submarines. It's going to run in parallel to a $25 billion upgrade to facilities at Western Australia's Henderson precinct, which will support nuclear submarine maintenance works.
Also yesterday, Michael, the Trade Minister Don Farrell said Australia is closer than it ever has been, well, at least closer than any time in the last 20 years, to signing a new free trade agreement with Europe. Europe has always been a difficult one for us because of agriculture, but anyway, Don Farrell reckons we're close.
Story number 2, Sean. In the US, the rotation out of tech stocks continues, and that's weighing down Wall Street. There's a bit of an anything but tech vibe at the moment. In the US, supermarkets, energy companies and manufacturers have done well, but not the Magnificent Seven tech stocks. US equity funds focused on shares outside the tech sector have attracted $62 billion of inflows over the past 5 weeks, well and truly eclipsing the $50 billion that investors added to such funds across the whole of 2025, according to Deutsche Bank.
Yeah, I mean, basically the Mag 7 are down 7.2% this year. The market's flat, so the rest of the market is up about 6%. Pretty amazing. Also explains the underperformance of Wall Street against us and against China and European markets.
Yeah. Story number 3, Macquarie Group is reportedly close to buying logistics player Qube for $11.6 billion, and that's going to remove yet another infrastructure player from the bourse. According to the Financial Review, the deal from Macquarie Asset Management is set to be announced possibly today. The buyers will be a consortium including quite a few players. We've got Macquarie Asset Management, I mentioned, Singapore's Sovereign Wealth Fund, GIC, you've got UniSuper, Mercer Investments, another super fund, and interestingly, Amancio Ortega's family office. Now, Ortega is the billionaire founder of the Zara fashion chain.
Yeah, I mean, scarce details on this one, given it hasn't been announced to the market, but not good news for investors who like putting their money into listed infrastructure stocks and their stable earnings.
Yeah, how about this one? Story number 4, Sean. At different times of the day, solar panels are apparently just too darn productive, flooding the national grid with energy, and that threatens to actually trip the grid. Now the energy regulator wants powers to switch off household rooftop panels. Some state governments aren't happy. It is just amazing to think that we're actually getting too much power out of solar panels, but it's certainly happening at certain times of the day, particularly in South Australia, but also Queensland.
Yeah, so the Australian Energy Market Operator says the changes are needed to manage the risks of a flood of solar power on days when the sun's shining but energy use is low. The operator has limited ability to stop the flow of energy, and some state governments, i.e. Queensland, don't want to give it any more, according to the Fin Review.
Last one, story number 5. Several Democratic politicians in the US have rushed to assure European leaders that Donald Trump will be gone in 3 years and things will then get back to more normal times. The Munich Security Summit was held over the weekend. It's the annual kind of high-level forum bringing power players in Europe and NATO together. You might remember it because last year, Vice President J.D. Vance attacked Europe for their migration policies, caused quite a stir. US Secretary of State Marco Rubio turned up this year. He was a lot more polite than Vance was, though many of the talking points were pretty similar. But much of the interest was actually on some other US politicians, and there was a stack of them, and they were from both sides of politics.
Yeah, a couple of the high-profile Democrats, Californian Governor Gavin Newsom, the other one, Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I think Newsom sort of summed up the feeling among the Democrats. I quote him, "If there's nothing else I can communicate today, Donald Trump is temporary. He'll be gone in 3 years."
All right, there we go. The top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. Thank you, Sean.
Thanks, Michael.
It's Monday, the 16th of February, 2026. Remember to hit follow on the podcast, as I mentioned before. And if 5 minutes isn't enough, you can find our longer daily show called Fear and Greed, wherever you listen to podcasts. I'm Michael Thompson, and that was the Fast 5 Business News by Fear and Greed. Have a great day.